We all want an interesting job, by which we mean one that allows for a high degree of creativity. There used to be quite a lot of creative jobs around, but they've been disappearing since at least the middle of the 19th century. In that century, the English art critic and social reformer John Ruskin pointed out that the medieval building industry had once left its builders room for a huge amount of creativity, evident in the way that these craftsmen had had fun carving gargoyles, grotesque animal or human faces, in distinctive shapes high up on cathedral roofs. The stonemasons might have had to work to a fixed overall design, and their toil was not always easy, but the gargoyle symbolized a fundamental freedom, seen in many kinds of pre-industrial work, the freedom to place a personal, creative stamp on one's work. Nowadays, there are some creative jobs around, of course, but the majority of those involved in making and selling, say, phones or furniture or buildings, will have no opportunity to be creative themselves. They belong instead to a highly anonymous army of labour, working within vast companies and that execute the creative designs of a lucky few. Modern capitalism has radically reduced the number of jobs which retain any component of creativity in them. Take, for example, the Eames Chair, designed by Charles and Ray Eames, which went into production in 1956. It is a highly distinctive creation that deeply reflects the ideals and outlook of the couple who designed it. If they'd been artisans operating their own small workshop, they would perhaps have sold a few dozen such chairs to their local customers in a lifetime. Instead, because they worked under modern capitalism, many hundreds of thousands of chairs have been and continue to be sold. That's wonderful in a sense, but a side effect of this triumph has been that the demand for well-designed, interesting chairs has been substantially cornered. A new creative person wanting to make a new kind of office chair nowadays has to face the fact that it's already possible to buy a very nice example, designed by two geniuses and available for rapid delivery at a competitive price. In other words, you won't stand too much chance of success. We're familiar with the idea that the wealth of the world is being ever more tightly concentrated in the hands of a relatively small number of people, the infamous 1%. But capitalism doesn't only concentrate money. There's a more poignant, less familiar fact that it's only a small number of people, a sometimes overlapping but often different 1%, who can have interesting, that is, creative work. It's telling that we are, at this point in history, obsessed with the romance of individual creative geniuses. Our society has developed a near fetishistic interest in stories of brilliant startups, colourful fashion gurus, and idiosyncratic filmmakers. We might like to think we're turning to them for inspiration, but it may be more the case that we are using them to compensate us for a painful gap in our own lives. Just as it was in the 19th century, during mass migration to cities, that novels and pictures about country life achieved unprecedented popularity among newly urban audiences. The many interviews and profiles of creative types in the media at the moment mask the fact that for almost all of us, it will prove almost impossible to compete against the forces of standardization. Far more than because of anything we may ourselves have done, most of us are highly likely to find a considerable portion of our work free of opportunities to carve our own gargoyles, and therefore will find it distinctly boring. We are certainly richer now than we've ever been and than we ever were in the pre-industrial world. But our work is arguably a lot less filled with day-to-day opportunities to mark what we're making with a stamp of our own creative spark.
To join a community of like-minded people who also enjoy watching and discussing our videos, you can download our app. Just follow the link on your screen now.